Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here, and we are going to be doing a little more testing. I recently did some basic ram ship designs with heavy plated armor and realized that they are effective at piercing through enemy armor. Up to basically three plates thick. Now what we have over there is the Iowa class battleship, which I previewed for you before, because I was a big fan of kind of, this style in that it was kind of World War II inspired and just battleship dreadnought style. So what we're going to be doing is testing a slightly modified ship design, or basically slightly modified ram. Now you can tell here that it is still a rather basic looking ship, and I want you to think about it like, when you look at it this way, it looks pretty well armored. The front and basically almost everything is kind of heavy armor thick. So if you think about small arms, small basically ballistics, like almost like 20 to 40 millimeters, I would be assuming would be what would be defending the capital ship against smaller craft like this. This is of a size where you could even hit it with your main batteries, secondary batteries, but less likely because we're relying on speed. So we're gonna have to put, let's see, it's a very basic ship. So yeah, it's armored from the front, but then over the sides it is very weak. It's light armor, and most of this armor is only about one thick, one plate thickness, and it's kind of has a somewhat of the superstructure is heavy plated armor. And then right after the armor plating in the front, there's a little ramp, which is in theory we're testing out. Once again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time basically designing a ship if the concept doesn't work, so we're still in that testing phase. So we will, let's see, hop on over, and we're going to test basically how this thing does in a ramming situation, and then if we can get out. And then I'm going to have a modified test. So we're going to be going for the rear part of the ship, right below that main, what I guess would be the equivalent of your main guns. Maybe it's a turbo laser battery, like Star Wars or something like that. So we're going to be trying to get up to critical speed, which I think is around over 50 meters per second, to where I think our ram would be effective at that spot. And our ram is slightly modified now, so we're not going to hold back. We're just going straight in. Hopefully we hit it. Alright. Let's see. So, hopping out real quick. As it saves us at this climactic point, our frames have dropped dramatically. I'm still having issue with that. And I think it's because of the lights. Good Lord. When kind of things start to get damaged, look at that, we punched a pretty good hole right onto its side plating. So the theory is that if we ram in a spot that is near, oh my gosh, it's almost unbearable to do this. There's part of our ram that we could basically plant an explosive. Now, I really don't know if this is going to be able to be done. Right under, the main gun there. And then, this is a mission that you don't come back from. You blow it up and you damage, critically, those main weapon systems, so that a larger capital ship could then come in, board this vessel, and look at that. Board the vessel, then take it over. So from the rear, we would basically destroy the engine room and the rear gun emplacements, primary batteries, approach it from the rear, land, board, take control of the ship, and then these primary batteries in the front would be unable to get access to your capital ship. So as my frames kind of get back up again, you can see that in this theory, against a larger and better defended capital ship, he's kind of got this outer bulk armor And then inside there's also a little more. So those explosives actually enabled us to get in here and blow up a lot of these main large reactors. So we were able to basically shut down the ship and shut down these batteries right here. You know, we may have to send in some of the surviving crew because this ship looks like it could carry, you know, maybe 10 to 20 maximum if they were packed in tightly within the ship. And obviously the design of it would be a little more improved. But so basically, I'm a big fan of just like capturing big capital ships. Instead of spending all the resources and time to build them myself, I would rather start out with kind of almost a pirate raider style fleet. I'm a big fan of Warhammer 40k orc style, like ram ships and stuff like that. So that was a success, I would say. I would say that this design has proved itself valuable once again against, as you can see, a large ship, which is what people have been wanting to see in action. Big crippling blow right there. But we're going to try another design where we're going to basically put some explosives on the tip of the ram and see how that, if that's basically as effective. And we're going to be aiming for right under that battery right there, right in between those two actually, to potentially take those two out. So the basic premise of this strategy is capital ships are very expensive and very powerful, right? So we want to negate their strengths by using much cheaper vessels. Because I'm under the assumption that some of the empires out there would spend a lot of their resources into ships like this, whereas I, on the other hand, would be spending resources to design ways to take them over in a much cheaper fashion and then seize them for my own use, with only having to spend resources on major to moderate repairs as opposed to just, oh yeah, basically building the ship from scratch. Because once survival mode comes into play, a ship like this will take, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many hours it would take and how many resources. So we're gonna leave. Let's see how to do this. Now the dangerous part about this kind of a design, let's see, we may want another one. So what do you think at the front? If they're small warheads, actually these would be large warheads. This is a large ship. 2 should be more than enough, because we saw when I torpedoed the Yamato, the space battleship Yamato, which was a really impressive looking ship. So we're gonna try that. Now what we're gonna be looking for is if those explosives tear apart. Actually, yeah, we're gonna modify it one more time. We're gonna make the ram a little longer. Alright, so we're gonna need heavy plated, and then maybe we could almost make like a blast shield. That's an option. Let's go to block 7 here. Clear out those. Now we're going to want red to fit with the theme. Alright, so we're going to put it further out because we don't want the front ship, the front of this, to suffer too much damage. So as we save again, we're going to put 2 warheads on the front and maybe a delayed one. I don't know exactly. This could be a testing video in and of itself, is to test like which one's the best way to do it. Alright, so now we're going to aim for under those primary batteries in the front. We're going to be getting up to speed. And remember, we have these 2 warheads at the front. The ram has been elongated. Luckily, that ship's out of the way. And we're going to be aiming right below it, because that's, you know, right below those main turrets would be where the explosives, you know, if it's a ballistics based round or even if it's an energy weapon, the majority of the ammunition or the power source for it would be below it. Oh, good lord. Alright, so as our frame rate goes to crap, let's take a look. So this is going to be a little tough. I'm at 8 frames per second right now. This is in early alpha and there's still some optimization issues. Alright, so we discovered the hangar, which may have been one of the reasons. There's one plate of armor, but the ram punched us through it. And there looks like almost like maybe an elevator system. Potentially, elevator or stair system to the top turrets. So we would be able, I would say that putting the explosives on it, it's kind of higher risk but greater reward. If you look at our ship, more of our ram is intact, and we kind of went immediately down after the explosives forced us down. So you could even plant the explosives in a way to where it may propel the front ram part of the ship in the direction you may want to do more damage with. Our ship is largely intact. The front armor took a bit of damage as it hit this lower deck area and cleared it out, but the ram is there. So we would then be able to plant our explosives, and then we would be able to blow them up. And let's see, were we below? We would have damaged that turret. We would have damaged both those turrets with that kind of attack. And when you run into a hangar like this, you're less likely to encounter what would be the equivalent of the capital ship's marine contingent, and more than likely pilots, mechanics and stuff like that working on fighters. So there may be other munitions around here that you could shoot, you know, with your boarding crew. Because we are, after all, raiders, pirates, and a faction that must basically rob, steal, and make better use of lesser resources in order to achieve celestial dominance. So I would say that these two ships, this ship was a better design. You could even put, like, maybe, let's see, you may want to put, you know, a weapon system or two on it. Actually, we want that drill because that was another thing. Where are you at, drill? Alright, so, you know, maybe you'd want to put a turret on it, something like that. And then once you get in here, if you know, had another area that you needed to get in, you could basically just drill through the light plating. So the drill doesn't work good on capital ship plating. It did work on lighter ship plating. But I would imagine at some point, say this door was locked, you know, and you had it, you could drill through it, or, you know, just, I guess the easier way would just be to place a breaching charge, which probably wouldn't be this big. So the door is locked, you blow... Well, you would have blown through the door with a smaller charge. You wouldn't have had a big one. So that shows right there. Oh, look at that. Did I place that explosive charge? Anyway, you get the point as we destroy everything with our chargers right now. Rams would be the way I would do it. I guess this one would be kind of the safer way if you wanted to ensure more of the ship was intact. You would do it without the explosive tip. But if you didn't know if you would be able to capture it and you really needed to take the ship out and damage it as much as possible, you would do an explosive tip, which also, by elongating the ram, enabled... I mean, in both cases, the frontal armor were not compromised. So either way, you would be able to board with your ship, with the crew from this ship, to raid and cause as much mayhem as possible, take out the main armaments, and then send in your medium to larger capital ships to take command of the enemy faction's flagship. Here being the battleship-inspired class. Anyway, my name is Baron. I thank y'all for watching. I hope you're as excited for this game and its development as I am. It's only in alpha right now. Imagine what we'll be able to do once it's in beta and then once it's in full launch. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Baron and I'm signing out. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So we are testing a basic concept and we're using basic ships. These things are nothing really to write home about or look at. But I want you to take note of the textural differences between these blocks. That is because we have heavy armor blocks and light armor blocks. So the concept of this ship before I'm going to make anything ornate and grandiose and just something that looks awesome, I want to test out the basic concept. And the basic concept of the ship will be a heavy armored ram in the front, as well as